Welcome to the 10 Acre Woods. My name's Mark, and this video is actually inspired by a school, Landmark Preschool. So they had contacted us and was wanting some more information on goat care. What they're doing is they're doing a homeschooling program, and each week is different, so they have a different topic. This week is goats, so I figured I'd throw together a video here talking about the goats and their care and their feeding and their housing. And I'm up here with the boys right now. So I'm up here with Carl on the left there and Billy here. So Carl is actually Billy's dad, aren't you? And they can be quite a handful. Now you see Billy is rubbing up against me, not necessarily because he loves me, but he is an intact male, meaning he's not fixed. So male goats are called bucks. If they are fixed, then they're called wethers. So he excretes different types of oils, and they're quite stinky from our perspective. But I guess the girl goats like that smell. Now, goats are ruminant animals, meaning that they actually have 4 chambers in their stomach. So the first one is, of course, the rumen. And they'll eat their food and it'll go down into that area. From there, it moves up into the reticulum, and the reticulum is an area where food is stored in basically balls that are called cud. That cud then later on, when they're relaxing and lying around, gets burped up, gets re-chewed, and then it works its way down. Once it's small enough, it gets into the third chamber, which is called the omasum. And from there, it then goes into the abomasum, which is kind of more like our stomach. It has enzymes and acids in there, and it breaks down the food before it gets processed through the body. So that's basically how the stomach works. Now, there's different types of animals that are called ruminant animals, and some of them, of course, are goats. There's sheeps. There's sheeps. I always say sheeps. My wife Tara got me onto the sheeps. Sheep and camels, buffalo. Hi, Billy. And deer. Those are all ruminant animals, including the cow. So they all process their food. They eat it all at one time. You can see Billy here, he's digging in. And then what they'll do is they'll kind of relax. And you'll actually see them once they're just sitting around. You'll see a little lump come up their throat, and then they'll start chewing, and then they'll swallow. And what they're doing is they're just reprocessing that food. Billy's going to cooperate here, aren't you, bud? So in their mouth, if we can open this back up again, on the top, you will see that they just have, it's called a bone palate. And it's just a bone, no teeth up there. The teeth are actually down here. And there are 4 sets of teeth. Oh, yes, okay. I'll let you go. Oh, now he's gonna show me what he's all about. All tough. He didn't like that. So on those 4 sets of teeth, what happens is those are used to actually pull up grass. So when they're out in the field, they're grabbing a hold of it and they're ripping it. And then they've got teeth in the back, which they then chew down. So telling the age of a goat, what happens is you take a look at those teeth. The 4 sets of teeth will be small and essentially baby teeth when the kids are born. Once they hit a year old, the 2 front teeth will be adult teeth. The year after that, the 2 outside of that, next to them, will then grow into adult, and again and again. Now, older goats, those front teeth, what will happen is they'll wear down and they'll get flat. They won't be as sharp. They'll get gaps in between their teeth. Their teeth may break, may get loose, may fall out. And what's going to happen is that goat is not going to be able to eat very well or graze very well out in the field. So we want to keep an eye on that. If there is any damage to the teeth, then eating hay is a lot easier for them because they can grab it, it's already ready for them, and they can chew it down, and that's not a problem. So let's talk about their housing. Billy's just going into one of his houses. We built this actually for horses and ponies. It's a little bit larger of a structure, and this building over here was our original chicken coop, but they've kind of taken that over as well. So I guess if they are fighting, they can each go to their own house. Now we live here in Manitoba, and it gets very cold. And the animals can stay outside. They will develop an undercoat, kind of a fluff, that will keep them insulated. But you want to make sure that they do have a shelter because winds and the snow can get them chilled, and that can be detrimental to the goat. So making sure that they have a good area with lots of hay and some nice bedding and out of the wind. So if we take a look in here, can I come in, Billy? Yeah? Okay, good. You can see down here there's lots of bedding. There's a really nice base in here. Oh, and Carl's even over here. So this is quite large for them, but they like this house, don't you? All right, we're going to go in and see the baby goats, the kids. So you'll notice that Carl and Billy both have their horns, and they've actually both broken their horns in the past. Now, there is a process called debudding or dehorning that actually removes the horns at just after birth, and they basically heat them up and sear them off so that they don't grow. We don't do that here at the 10 Acre Woods. A lot of people do it for safety of animals and humans alike. We find they work really good as handles, and if you keep an eye on the animals, and you know, if we have a smaller herd here, we can manage them a little better. I imagine larger herds, they'll do it because there's just too many animals to monitor, so they kind of remove those weapons from them. But they use them for scratching, and they use them for playing, and Carl and Billy actually use them to headbutt trees, and I guess that's exciting for them. So here we don't dehorn our animals. They are all natural. I hear some babies. I hear some babies. Yes. So we have our mama goats in here, and look at this. This one here is standing on mom. They'll quite often do this, get up and just hang out on mom. So you can see all the kids here. They're up, they're awake. They love to play at this age. They are, well, they're barely a week old. Some of them even younger. So we've got 6 here. We've got 3 girls and 3 boys. So the female goats are called does. And of course the males are bucks, or if they're fixed, they're wethers. And the kids, well, the babies are known as kids. So there we go. We've got them. We've got some heat lamps in here. You have to really watch heat lamps because they can be dangerous. They can cause a lot of fires. Hi, Coco. So we have Coco, we have Petunia, and we have Blackie. So there's a lot of safety features involved in this, and you can see there's a little grill on the bottom here. So that's important, just so that they won't headbutt up and with their horns hit and break the light. Something else that's important is we've used chains to secure it, and then there's a little hook in there so we can change the height. You don't want it too low that it's going to be a fire hazard, and you can adjust it accordingly. And then we've got it pinned up into the roof, into the ceiling there, so it's all secured and it's far enough away from the wood so that it's not going to be a concern. So in this area we have our younger ones and our special ones, right, Sheldon? Sheldon just continues to run around in circles. So he was born 2 years ago. And he had a very hard time when he was young. So there's a whole story that I did. You can check out that video when you have some time. And basically he has, you know, sometimes it happens. And usually they will die because the female goats, the does, can't take care of them. So we brought him inside and we bottle fed him goat's milk. And he has turned out to be quite the character. And then we have George here, which is almost a year old himself. So that's a Canadian Arcot sheep. And then we have the other kids. So Sheldon is 2 years old. And the other two kids, which we have Holly and we have Billie Jean over there, they are roughly the same size. And then, of course, we have little Hazel. Hazel was born last June, so she's not quite a year old. What was cute was Hazel was seen playing with the ball. So Tara put a ball in here and figured, well, it's an exercise ball. They want some toys. So it was later that night we checked on the camera system and we saw that little Hazel was playing with the ball, and it was quite comical. So she really enjoys that ball. Hi, kids. How you doing? Hi. Yes. So this one is one of Petunia's, and this one here is one of Blackie's. Hey, and then they'll just start to climb up on you. What is it? What are you looking for? Oh, are you gonna lick? Are you gonna lick my camera? Is that what you're gonna do? So like I said, these guys are a week old, and they're right at that time where they're just going to start playing. We put these little containers in here for them to jump on. We've got little bowls here that they were seen sleeping in, but they would all jump into the same bowl. So we had to get, this is a tire that the top and bottom, or the outsides, are cut off. It's a little bit bigger. So it kind of just allows them to grow into it. Hi! So what do we feed these guys? So these guys mainly get, well, of course, in the summertime, they eat grass out in the field. Grass and leaves and weeds. They'll even eat thorns, things that you wouldn't even imagine them eating. They'll go and they'll eat it. So it's pretty surprising what they'll do. In the wintertime, we have hay for them. So they eat hay, and we've got these hay feeders, and then, of course, some water in here. What do you think, Coco? You're curious about the camera, aren't you? So something else, kid goats, you want to make sure that they don't have any bugs, any lice. So what we do is we treat them. We treat them naturally, and we use fireplace ashes. So if you have a fireplace, what you can do is you can keep the ashes separate. I used to actually screen them through an old window screen just to get the fine particles. And what you do is you just you dust them down, just being careful to stay away from the nose and the eyes, right? But you want to get it on the top of the head and behind the ears and the neck. And what that does is it suffocates the little bugs. And then you do the same with the moms. And on the moms, you want to get down here on the belly because you can get the bugs transferring from these little guys when they go under to feed. So you want to make sure that they're all well dusted as well. And just for an added safety sake, we put some down around in this area here, around on the bedding. And we even put some into these containers. So we've checked them, and they are good. They've been treated twice, and they are clean of all little bugs. They can have some grains. They don't need grains. Because they're a ruminant animal, what can happen is if they eat too many grains, it can get stuck in the rumen. And when we add water to grains, it swells up. And then when it gets into the reticulum, they can't burp it back up. So it just blocks their esophagus, and they can't burp it up, and their stomach starts to swell. So you have to be really careful with grains with these guys. You can give it as treats, preferably fresh vegetables, giving them some veggies or apples. They really love apple slices, things of that nature, and snow peas, some really good vegetables, right? Yeah. So grain is not the best. Goats can develop, especially males, they can develop problems with their urinary tract. They can get crystals that form, and then they run into multiple problems there. So really keep the grains down to a low amount. The grains we use are natural grains, and we feed them mainly to the birds, the chickens and the geese and the ducks. Who's gonna go get a drink of milk? Oh, we have one. Maybe. So these two, oh, yeah, there we go. So there we go. And you see that little tail? The little tail will wag. It's kind of like a milkometer. When they're getting the milk, it seems like that tail wags more and more. And goats can smell. So what they do is they use that sense of smell to smell the baby. And they actually know that that's their kid by their scent. Oh, there we go. Got a good amount. And this one's actually trying to lick my finger. So you really have to watch when you have your hand out because they can bite. The little ones not so much, but they still do have teeth, so you have to be careful with that. Hand feeding is something we don't do here because what that means is the goats are coming to you because of food, and we don't want that. We want them to come to us because they want to come to us, and not because we have treats for them, right? Yeah. Something else I forgot is on the sides of the goat, you'll see these little, they're called little wattles, and they're hanging down. Oh, Petunia says, "You're not my kid." She thought she was going to go get a drink. So these wattles here, they don't really do anything, and usually about 50% of the time they have them. This little one here, Shelby, doesn't have them on her. And actually, these two kids don't have them either. So is it just... So it's just one that has them, which is this one over here. And what it is, actually, no, there's... Actually, it looks like both of Blackie's. No, this one is Coco's baby. And this one is Blackie's baby. Look at this. You can see he's only not even like a week old, and look at him chew that food. So they'll start to chew solids. They'll watch mom and dad, and they'll see what they're doing, and they'll start gnawing on things. But you can see this one here has the little wattles. So it doesn't really mean anything. It could have been when they were developing years ago in their history. You can see Coco has, she's got some wattles here as well, and they just kind of hang down. They're just decoration. Maybe they were glands at one point many years ago, but as they developed, they just don't have any use for them anymore. And sometimes they're born with them, and sometimes they're not. So what kind of goats do we have? Those are called pygmy goats. Now Hazel is a pygmy cross. We're not quite sure what she is crossed with, but she's likely going to remain small as well. So she was actually raised in the house. So she was brought into us because she was starting to get older and she was becoming a handful. So we took her in here, and she's going to hang out with our crew here on the farm. So that's it for this short little video. I wanted to just put it out there. I know there's a lot of homeschooling going on, and it's a great opportunity to work with a school, spread some education. We love sharing what we do here. So if you have any questions about this video or any other video, feel free to leave it below in the comments. And until next video, we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.